Greetings, friends. I am Vitaly Portnikov. American President Donald Trump called for Iran's capitulation and issued threats against the leader of that country, Ayatollah Khamenei. Trump emphasized that the United States knows well where the supreme leader of Iran is located, but demands from him that Iran refrain from striking civilian targets as well as American citizens. However, the most important aspect of these threats from Donald Trump remains the question of whether the United States is ready to take part in Israel's operation to eliminate Iran's nuclear weapons. The head of Israel's National Security Council, Tzachi Hanegbi, emphasized that, in his opinion, a decision regarding the direct participation of the United States in such an operation has not yet been made. At the same time, one of the closest advisors to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the Israeli operation cannot be concluded without the elimination of the Iranian nuclear facility in Jordan. The only problem is that Israel does not have the technical capabilities to eliminate this nuclear facility. Bombs capable of destroying such a facility, as well as aircraft able to carry these bombs, are only in service with the United States itself. And only Donald Trump can make the decision either to transfer these aircraft and bombs to the Israeli Defense Forces, or to decide on the direct involvement of the United States in the war against Iran. But we understand that for the President of the United States himself, this will not be an easy decision. Despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of Americans support the elimination of Iran's nuclear stockpiles, back Israel in its operation against one of the most repugnant authoritarian regimes in the modern world, and believe that the possibility of Iran possessing nuclear weapons cannot help but cause concern among Americans. In Donald Trump's own political platform, as is well known, it was first and foremost emphasized that he does not start new wars. After all, we understand the direct involvement of the United States in a war against Iran could trigger tectonic political shifts in the modern world. In particular, Moscow and Beijing may reconsider their positions regarding what is happening, where so far they have not been in a hurry to come to the aid of their Iranian allies. But even today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation has condemned the Israeli operation against Iran in much sharper terms than before. It emphasized that Israel's actions are pushing the world toward a nuclear catastrophe, and once again called for a diplomatic solution to the problem that has arisen due to the Islamic Republic's desire to retain the capability to produce nuclear weapons. It is also worth emphasizing, and it should be noted, that the approach to the Iranian issue may create new divisions within the West itself. While the Federal Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, emphasizes that Israel is doing the dirty work for Western countries and reminds us how dangerous it would be for the Ayatollah regime to acquire nuclear weapons, French President Emmanuel Macron once again calls for a diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear issue and urges Donald Trump to find opportunities to hold such negotiations. There was even a certain conflict between Trump and Macron after the French president reported on his conversation with the American president, during which Trump allegedly expressed his willingness to negotiate. Trump denied Macron's statement, while Macron emphasized that Donald Trump's position had changed significantly in just one day. However, there are no guarantees that this position will not change again within the next 24 or 48 hours. Everything will also depend on the stance of the Iranian political leadership. So far, there are no real signs that the Iranian regime is ready for any changes in its own position. And of course, Tehran continues to plan further strikes on Israeli territory because in Iran they believe that a war of attrition against the Jewish state strengthens Iran's authority on the so-called Arab street and creates serious problems for those Arab governments that consider it necessary to find a model for the Middle East that would involve cooperation with Israel and recognition of the legitimacy of the Jewish state's existence in the region. Iran itself, as is well known, is firmly opposed to such a possibility of existence. And this position of Iran resonates quite widely among many residents of the so-called Global South, especially among the inhabitants of various Arab states who are firmly convinced that their governments are betraying the Arab cause when they do not actively work towards completely eliminating the Jewish presence and influence in the Middle East. Thus, on the one hand, the Iranian regime is suffering quite serious losses in its struggle against Israel, which continues to destroy its strategic facilities, generals, and members of the country's top leadership, while on the other hand, it is strengthening its global authority among those who believe that confrontation with Israel and, through it, with the United States will help the countries of the Global South change the world in which the United States and other democratic countries until recently tried to operate according to rules that are so disliked by all authoritarian regimes. And of course, in a situation where the discussion is about changing the rules of the game in the world, countries like Iran intend to rely on China and Russia, which, to their surprise, as I have already mentioned, are so far in no hurry to help Iran in its confrontation with Israel and the United States. So now everything will depend precisely on Donald Trump's decision regarding the direct involvement of the United States in a major war in the Middle East with unpredictable consequences, and on how much Beijing and Moscow decide to use this decision by Donald Trump to create new opportunities for their own geopolitical influence. As in any war, a mistaken decision can lead to a conflict of such magnitude that humanity may not have experienced before. Thank you, friends. Stay on this channel, subscribe, follow me on social media, Patreon, buy me a coffee, and Donatella to support these resources. Use the sponsorship feature on YouTube. Victory, peace, and good luck to all.